Okay, good morning to one and all. I am happy to introduce Dr. Binu P. Poni from Kerala Agriculture University. She is a professor and head, Department of Agricultural Extension. So she is going to deliver a guest lecture on advanced tools for extension research. You all know that very well. Our department is organizing this guest lecture, a series of guest lecture, whenever we have the opportunity to have the experts from various universities, not only national but also international. Whenever there are visitors, we try to involve them, and we just request for delivering a guest lecture. And in that mode, we have requested our Dr. Binu Poni to deliver a lecture on these advanced tools for extension research. And this lecture is also sponsored by Dean SPGS. And she is going to talk about more about these analytical tools. So she has adequate expertise and skills in doing these analytical tools in extension research. And so we requested her to deliver a talk on this subject. So before getting into the actual lecture, uh, I would like to give a brief introduction about her profile. So she did BSc and MSc from Kerala Agriculture University and completed PhD from Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. She started after PhD. She has worked as agriculture officer. She worked as agriculture officer with the State Department of Agriculture and also served as an ARS scientist in Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, Bangalore. And she has worked as a professor and head of Communication Center and Center for Gender Studies and Farm Entrepreneurship Development. And she has also held charge as Associate Director of Extension, and she has handled many research projects as a principal investigator funded by various funding agencies, which include Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India, NATP, ICR, Kerala State Horticulture Mission, RKVY, NADP, FACT, DRWA, ICR, and Government of Kerala. So she has a very rich research experience, and she was also the project coordinator of Agricultural Extension and Development Studies Research Group in KAU. And she has made 120 worthy publications in many reputed and NAS-rated journals, both international and national. And she is also specialized in the field of participatory extension, triple P interventions, and gender studies. So she is also a recipient of a Jawaharlal Nehru Trust Scholarship for Doctoral Studies, and she has received many international fellowships also, like Netherlands, from Netherlands, and Dhaka, and research scholarships also from CSIR and ICR. She has received the Best Paper Award twice in national and international seminars, and she has also guided many PhD and PG students in agricultural extension. So with this brief note, I wholeheartedly welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Binu Poni. So I would like to respect her because she has come all the way, and based on our request, she is going to deliver. And it's our privilege to uh, respect our guest speaker. I invited Dr. Nirmala Devi to present a shawl, and I invited Dr. Mr. Arul Murugan to give a memento to the guest speaker.
Good morning, Manina. Respected Karthikeyan sir, respected Ashokan sir, other faculty members of the department, and my dear students. Actually, in fact, the 2 days were full of surprises. The last surprise was with the shawl and other things. Actually, I don't know, maybe it's a customary or something, isn't it? Thank you for the respect shown. Anyway, let me start with the wonderful interaction we had yesterday with the students as part of our, what you call, the qualifying viva sessions. One thing I want to emphasize is that extension research is, we cannot say we have been hearing it for a long time, it is an emerging field, but still now using that same cliched word, it's no good. It's an area which we need to consider very seriously because it is a social sector, in the agriculture sector, we are focusing on the social dimensions, and as such, the economics, they have gone a long way because they have taken the tools and other things, research tools from the primary economics thing, which is a well developed area. Rural sociology, in fact, have transcended many strides, many miles ahead. But as our initial definition says, we have to integrate many fields. We are still at the beginning stage in our research many a time. Many of our extension researchers, especially the student research, start with profiling of the farmers, is it not? Socioeconomic status, then we will present some 10 to 15 years, 15 slides on that. Everybody will lose interest, is it not? Don't you find it? So we will start with age, education, whatnot, annual income, and all others. Each slide will have some graph and some mean standard deviation. And by the time we reach halfway, we would not have touched many of our other important objectives. That's what is happening. So it is high time that we move ahead. I don't say that it's customary. That's all I am saying. Everybody is not may not be like that. We have very good researches being done all around. That's okay, fine. But still, we are much dependent on our descriptive statistical tools like mean and median and other central tendencies. We try to boil down to a single point. That was what we were discussing. What happens is that we will later we will try to categorize based on mean and standard deviation. It's a customarical thing. By the time what happened is it's a normal distribution and we get all the things crowded in the median level. So what inference can we make out of it? It's a character or the quality that is attributed to an expected of a normal distribution curve. So we need to look into other categorical tools that is available also. So this should be the way we should progress. And what I am expected to tell you, it was in fact one of, I should especially mention her name. I was delighted with my interaction with Beji, that Northeast student. She's somewhere here. Yes. I have to special appreciation to her because the way she had responded to the questions, I had to raise my standards. I had to set my standards higher, and very. It comes naturally from your grooming here. Definitely, it will have an influence. And beyond that, I expect it. It is the readership she should be doing. That is how you utilize, because everything is in your fingertips. Everybody has a smartphone, and that is available, not like our times when we had to sit hours in the library, and then to find searching itself will take some half a day. Then only we will be left with 2 or 3 hours to spend on the other things. The times have changed, and you have the resources all around you. Make the best use of it. And the PG and the PhD days are the best grooming days. What you will be as a researcher is dependent on what you do and what you strive to aspire as a PG student. So make the best use. You have the very best resources in terms of your staff. You have wonderful faculty around. You have wonderful facilities. I cannot compare the facilities we have at our own department. As students, we have a Mac workstation. That's something beyond the reach of ordinary extension students. So try to make the best use of the available resources and enrich our extension discipline. That is what I have to tell you at the onset. Now let me come to my point of discussion. That is, I am asked to deliver something on advanced tools of in extension research. What are the contexts in which these things can be applied? That will be the way we will be looking into. That is, so yesterday I was repeatedly asking you what is measurement. Because research is all about measurement, whether we do it quantitatively or qualitatively. That is the basic ways in which I approach the data collection. When we go for an exploratory type of analysis. Mostly the content analysis is a type of exploratory way. Subjective or narrative parts are considered. You get your data in the form of narrations or subjective ways. But the thing is, today we have even tools to make such exploratory, to bring such exploratory data into quantitative measures. So I'll be looking into uh, one quantitative tool which can be widely used in our context, that is the structural equation modeling, and two qualitative tools, that is analytical hierarchy process, especially in the climate risk analysis and other decision making of the farmers we can widely use. And the other is social network analysis, when we are studying the resilience of a system, community resilience or agriculture innovation system dynamics. We are delineating and mapping of the supply chain, we can make use of what is called social network analysis or SNA. The importance and why we suggest these tools is that though they are qualitative tools, they provide quantitative measures for the qualitative data we are analyzing. So I don't, if only the time permits, I'll be going into SNA. So within the time that is available, we'll try to cover structural equation modeling and the AHP. Okay, fine. And the difference between why you have this structural equation modeling, then the measurement in extension or in any research for that matter starts with what is known as, what does it start? The basic unit. It starts with a concept, is it not? Concept is any abstract idea you are trying to research upon. And when the abstractness is very high and you cannot directly measure it, it becomes a construct. And in our context, we mostly deal with constructs. And that is, the abstractness is very high, that is, uncertainties are very high, the situation is very complex, then what we require will higher enter analytical tools like structural equation modeling, where both direct and indirect effects and even the total effect of both direct and indirect can be quantified. And in most of our research, we do have what is known as conceptual definition. We'll start with the conceptual definition, that is the theory. We will be sorry, and then we will go for an operationalized definition. What does this operationalized definition do for us? It is the way in which we are trying to measure it. The theoretical propositions are converted into measurable context. That is what in the operational definition does with. So measurement does the process of assigning numerals in the ways we are prescribed in the operational definition. Okay, so we will be, from here onwards, we will be deliberating on what is known as the measurement. How do we measure constructs or complex abstract concepts which we deal in research? Okay. So these are the differences between quantitative. One is exploratory, the other one, when the empirical evidences in numerical terms are got, we call it quantitative research. And in qualitative, it is mostly the narrations or subjective way of analysis. Can anybody tell me a qualitative tool which we make use of in our research, extension research? Not testing the faculty. Any, you can go wrong. There is you cannot always be right. Don't be afraid to go wrong. That's the way we learn. Any one method, the qualitative method. Focus group. Okay, fine. Focus group discussion. And how you will quantify it? Any method you know? Content analysis is a method we are trying to do. Normally, we do content analysis manually, getting codes, then number of types that codes is repeated, themes, codes, subnodes. Likewise, we'll go. But today we have softwares such as NVivo or MaxCuda, which does this function for us. We don't have to manually do. That means manual operations are possible when the data is limited, when you have a few pages. But when, as of now, we have numerous sources from which we get the content. So to analyze it manually, it will be a difficult task. So you can adopt. I'm not going into the further details of that. We'll try to concentrate on what he was telling me. Yeah, professor had asked me to deliver something on SCA because you're having the software. So I thought that will be more useful because there is a possibility to make use of that. Okay. I just tried to introduce there are avenues in which the qualitative data can be converted into quantitative so that higher levels of measurement tools, that is ratio level measurements, can be applied. Ultimately, what we are, many a time social researchers are looked down because we dwell at the ordinal and interval levels of measures. So these are tools which enable us to move further to the ratio levels of measurement. That is why these advanced tools become important to us. Is it okay? Till now you're with me. Anything you can stop me in between, no problem. Okay. Let's focus on SEM or the structural equation modeling. Why do we need a structural? That may be the first question. Actually, this is not a single tool. It is an integrated use of different statistical tools, actually. And we start with the measurement theory. That is what I have shown here. What I'll be trying to do is trying to make you understand what is structural equation modeling, and I'll be discussing something on that. There are two models that discuss with respect to the uh, working with SEM. That is, one is the model and the other is the structural model. So I'll dwell on these three items. So let's start with the measurement theory. You may be knowing many measurement theory. Yesterday, many of you were telling us about the classical test theory, the item response theory, the rash model of measurement, all these things we know. So we'll be measuring on the very basic measurement theory, that is the true score theory or the classical test theory, which says that any measurement, the observed measurement, the score you get, is not the true score. Actually, not be knowing me, but I have seen you in the strong ties and also in the other some of the extension groups. I have always respected. Actually, I was confusing you with my chairman. I was guided under Dr. K. Vijayaraman, sir. Later only I could distinguish. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. So let's continue, sir. So, sir, we were just started discussing on SEM. So, to start with the measurement theory, as we all know, any measurement we make, that is the observed score, we call it as the observed score, is a combination of the true score and also an error. There is an error component. And this error can be the result of two things. One can be the systematic error, that is, as a result of a faulty instrument you are making use of. The danger with the systematic error is many a time what we actually measure may not be what is intended to measure. That means the mean of errors will not get cancelled each other and the error exists in the system or in the research thing. That is, the mean is not equal to zero. Whereas random error, that can be overcome. That is why we always look upon what is your sample size. You have a very small sample size. That means the possibility of this error component, random error component, to persist is very high. That is why it can be that Kerlinger's max-min-con principle. That suggests a way how to overcome the random error. That means there is possibility of getting the errors cancel each other so that the mean of error becomes zero. So in every research, what we are trying to do is to maximize the systematic variance, minimize the error variance, and control the extraneous variable. That is the Gerlinger's principle of maximum count. So this measurement theory is the basis for this thing. Along with measurement theory, we also have statistical integration of statistical tools like factor analysis, path analysis, regression, and the simultaneous equations. Simultaneous equations, some, at least few of you will be having econometrics as a minor. How many of you take economics as minor? You don't have minor from economics? No. It's good that we are all social science group. You consider taking courses on that. Okay. So simultaneous equation is econometric tool when I'm not going into the details of it. Just understand that this is not a single statistical tool. It integrates different statistical measures to test the model fitness. Okay. There are different software. This mechanically doing this is very cumbersome. We may take the analysis. Itself may take 1.5 years. That is why it was not popular earlier. But with the advent of high-end computers and all those things, we have possibility, and you have one of the smartest tool available. That is the Start PLS, uh, partial least squares. That software is available. That is one of the best softwares around, which is very user friendly also. The Literal is the earliest one. Amos is also there. Then Smart PLS and Stata, they also have elements to do. If you ask to define SEM, I'll say it is a path analysis using the latent variables. So yesterday I was asking you about the different variables, and many of you have given me very good answers on variables. So what is a latent variable? Is it within the system of research or outside? Thing that exists within. I have stress. That can affect my delivery of lecture. And also it can affect other independent variables, my knowledge, my vocabulary, my communication skills. That means that is something which is not very evident, but still it is latent in the system, influencing both the independent and dependent variable. When something influences both the independent and dependent variable, you call it as a confounding variable. So latent variables are normally confounding variables. Is it okay? Till now, you are with me. So this is then I'll show this one. This is the model I have shown. This is the path analysis. Path analysis means standardized visualization patterns in which we arrange the system. So the elliptical things, they represent the dependent variable, or the latent variable, I should say. Within the structural equation modeling terminology, the elliptical circles, they represent the latent variables. The squares, they represent the indicators of measurement of that. When we come to the detailed modeling, I will tell you. Just understand now that. And the indicators, they are the paths. Okay. This is the and the circles represents the error. In the measurement model, we have seen error is the, score is the, absurd scores are the. All these things exist in the path analysis also. In the path analysis, we are delineating all these into visual patterns, wherein all the latent variables will be represented as elliptics. Errors, if there are deviance, will be in circles, and the indicators of measure, if there is a dependent variable, you will be using 2 or 3 or 5 questions to get a score on that. All these questions will form a square. Not a square, a rectangular pattern. Okay. So this is how the model, factor model is built. And defining SEM, it is a path analysis using the latent variables. Okay, fine. So describing it further, this is how it looks. That is, there are two independent variables, x1 and x2, and you have a dependent variable y. All these are influencing each other. X1 has an effect on x2, X2 has an effect on Y. X1 is also having an effect on Y. So how we will delineate this? Each influence beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3 represents each. That means beta 1 is the direct effect of X1 on X2. There is no difference of opinion on that. And beta 1 is the direct effect of X1 on Y. That is also evident. X2, the beta 3 represents the direct effect of X2 on Y. And if you ask what is the indirect effect of X1 on Y, it will be B2, the product of beta 2 and beta 3. And if you ask what is the total effect of X1 on Y, it becomes beta 1 plus the product of beta 2 and beta 3. This is the analysis we make use of in SEM. Okay, this is how we will what you call calculate the models. So now let's look into the components that are available in the SEM. Basically, as I said, what does the ovals, elliptical things represent? Latent variables. So both our independent and dependent variable, I said, they can be interrelated, and we are trying to delineate that effect on that each other through SEM. Correlation regression, they gives only direct effects. We want to know both the direct and indirect effect and also the total effect. That is why we are using SEM. It's okay. So the latent variables here, the independent variable A, independent variable B, and also the dependent variable, why all these are represented as latent variables, and also how each one is measured. Independent variable A have indicator 1, 2 and 3. It contributes to the measurement. Each question you make use of to measure that particular variable will go into that what you call rectangles. Okay. Similarly, independent variable B will also have indicators. Similarly, dependent variable will also have indicators. These are the components, and the relations are indicated by the arrowed outlines. Okay. They are called the paths actually. So it have latent variables, observed variables, that is the indicators. Observed variables are the indicators, and also have the paths. These are the components. And you can see two types of models depicted here, which are what we are testing. If you look into, these are the outer models. They are called the measurement models. In measurement models, we are checking, that is in the literature review chapter. After reviewing all the literature, you will be developing a conceptual model for your research. We are testing whether the measurement we make in the conceptual model is fit or right. That is what is being done here. Okay. In the measurement model, if you are testing the measurement model, we are testing our conceptual model, whether this is a way of theory development, how you develop the theory. Existing theories may be saying these are the variables that contribute to a particular dependent concept. But we can prove it whether these are actually holding good or whether there is any deviation, whether something need to be deleted or something need to be added. This is testing of the existing theories, and also development of new theories is possible through the testing the measurement model. That is one thing. The second is you can find, including only the latent variables, there is an outline exogenous. Here you can find, that is the structural model. That is testing of the hypothesis. You have assumed some relation between the latent variables, that is the dependent and the independent variable. You have assumed some relations that need to be tested. So there are two models that go into the structural equation modeling that need to be tested. The first is the measurement model, in which we are testing what you call whether the validity will be tested of your measurement. And also the second measurement, the hypothesis testing, the concepts the hypothesis you have put forward, the assumptions you have made in the research holds good or not. That is, these are the two tests. Now, there are certain quality criterions that have been fixed to test these. So testing the model fit of the measurement model. The first, you are testing the measurement model. In testing the measurement model or the outer model, there are two criteria which we make use of. One is testing for the convergent validity and testing for the discriminant validity. Don't worry about how you will do it, because everything will be available in your smart. There is a quality criteria there where you can click and all these things will come automatically. Don't worry about the calculation part. Okay. So just understand and try to apply. That's all what is required from our part. That is, convergent validity is tested by three criteria. One is the factor loadings. In PCA, most of us will be familiar with principal component analysis, where we will get factor loadings. Similarly, that is intercorrelations. You get the factor loadings. It should be, each of the factor loadings should be greater than or equal to 0.7. That is one criteria. Another criteria that we make use of is average variance extract, AVE. That should be greater than or equal to 0.5. And other thing is composite reliability, which should be greater than or equal to 0.7. These are the three criteria we make use of for what you call the convergent validity. What is convergent validity? Somebody is showing me like this, something is converging. Huh? Yes, there are different types of validity. Accuracy is measured. In convergent validity, if I take the example which I have taken, that is ecotourism. It's a dependent variable. Uh, Digital marketing may be an independent variable which we use. In digital marketing, you can measure through blogging, search engine optimization, social media. There are blogs, different indicators will be used to assess the digital marketing. So, all the indicators which you make use of in blogging, if that is a criteria, those indicators should be interconnected. But those indicators which you use for blogging should not be related with SEO, the search indicators you are. That relation should be minimal. The maximum relation should be within that. In convergent validity, we are testing whether the indicators you are using to measure are interrelated, intercorrelated, highly intercorrelated. That is what is tested in convergent validity. And discriminant validity is just the opposite. That means it should not be related to, it should only be minimally related to the other concepts which are in digital marketing, blogging. The indicators you use for blogging should be interrelated, but those indicators should be only minimally related with what indicators you use for social media. Okay, that inter-concept relation should be minimal. Within the concept, the relation should be maximum. That is what discriminant and convergent validity stands for. For discriminant validity also, there are three criteria which we make use of in SEM. In discriminant, that is cross-loadings is one criteria. Though it is a weak criteria, this we are considering. That is how much loading each indicator has on other related concepts you have included. That is cross-loading. Then very crucial and important thing is the square root of AVE, which should be greater than the intercorrelation value you get. I have shown an example. I will try to relate to it. Then HTMT is hetero trait mono trait ratio. This is a recent introduction as a criteria. It's considered one of the strongest criteria, and this is all available. These statistics will be available once you run the PLS algorithm in your software. So no botheration about the calculation. Only thing you need to understand how these measures can be made use of. So now I think you know about the criteria which we are using. There are two criteria: convergent validity and discriminant validity. For each of these, we have three quality parameters we will be looking into. Okay. And that is about the measurement model. Once the measurement model is fitted, we will move to test the hypothesis testing, that is through the structural model testing. That is the quality criteria. These are the parameters. R square is the regression value. F square also you may be knowing, the model fit, the path coefficient. These are the things. In this, actually, the t value, that is 1.96. It will be in our head. Everyone who is testing a thing, that is t value equal to 1.96 and p value 0.05 for 95%. Those will be the criteria you will be looking into. You will see that. So this structural modeling is about, as I said, it is about hypothesis testing. Significance level, usually these are the things I just try to explain. So this is the workspace. This is the software. When you look into the software, you will have 4 windows open. This is the, where is it? This is the area where you will be loading your what is Excel sheets will not be taken, I think. You have to go SPSS, SVG, that file format should be included. Here you will include it. It will here you can edit it, and this is the workspace you will get. In the workspace, this way I have used that ecotourism thing. So ecotourism is my dependent variable, which has been measured in terms of what you call blogging, search engine optimization, mobile application, and also social media. These are the parameter independent variables I have used to measure the ecotourism impact of digital media on ecotourism. Digital media has been conceptualized in terms of these 4 things, and each of these has been measured. Actually, blog 1, blog 2, this indicates the questions you make use of to measure the blogging. And for SE also, you will have similar set of questions, all these. Then you will at the top, we are running the PLS algorithm. You can see the PLS algorithm. Calculate, there is a button. If you click it, so many things comes. But we are interested right now for the initial stages. We will be looking only into the PLS, running the PLS algorithm. Then you will get this. And from that, what is shown here, these are all the what you call the factor loadings. This is the factor loadings, and here it is the path coefficient, and here again it is the factor loadings. No, factor loadings related to these indicators, factor loadings related to each of this. But based on the criteria, we know that your value should be, what should be the value greater than, but you can find some of the values less. No. Can you find here? Should I expand it? Can you read it? So some of the values are less than 0.7. So whether we should delete all this or whether we should retry, let's see how it can be. For that, before deleting or adding something, you have to look into the values of AVE. For that, you will there is a button there to export to Excel. Then you will get a critical table. You will get. It will look like something like this. I'll show you. This is the table you will, that is the reliability coefficient I said. This is indicated by Cronbach alpha and other values, composite reliability values are there. All those that are within the permissible limits are given in green. But which needs to be checked, it will appear in red. That means AVE value, that is average variance extracted. That value should be, what is the minimum criteria? 0.5, but we have values less than that. That means it need to be rechecked. In rechecking that, what we do is we'll go back to this and see what are the variables which are showing less than 0.7. We'll first exclude that variable which have the least value among this. That is something of 0.598 is there, no? So we'll just exclude that. Block 3, delete that from our analysis. Then again rerun the PLS algorithm. Without that variable, we are rerunning that. We will do this, but we have to take one thing into account, that is minimum 3 variables should be there It is SEM, otherwise the equation will not work. Because there are three variables that measurement equation is having three things, so at least three variables should be there to resolve those simultaneous equations. So that is why we need to include at least three or four or five indicators for the measurement. Even if you delete one or two, finally you will end up with three. Okay, this is something only after operating it you will know it, but for your understanding I am telling it in advance. So at least three should be retained. So what we do is we delete it, we rerun it, and again recheck the value. So here it is it not 0.533. That means it is higher than. So with values improved about zero point 0.5, you can stop deleting. You can blogging is done with. Now we will look into the other, that is mobile application, where the value is less than. Similarly, we have to go there, look for the factor loadings, whichever has less than 0.7, and with least values you delete, rerun. Likewise, continue till all your average variant extracts are more than 0.5. Okay. Once it is done, all the AVI has been done with. Now you have tested your measurement model. Fitness has been proved. That means after deleting whatever the model comes out, that is actually the ecotourism need to be operationalized in terms of these variables. So the other variables which are included were not good enough. There were some variables that need to be deleted. Those were deleted. So we can theorize ecotourism need to be a function of these things, and these variables are not fitted. That is, the measurement variable has been taken care of. Now we will move on to the structural, that is convergent, that is one part of the measurement model has been taken care of. That is the convergent validity. Now we have to look into the discriminant validity, for which we are looking into three factors. One is the square root of AVE, that is also known as the Fornell-Larker criteria. That is how it will be written in this. That is the square root of AVE. It will be coming as Fornell-Larker criteria. What it suggests is that is if you take that 0.632 was your AVE value. If you take the square root, it comes to 0.795. That means all your interrelated variables are more than, or your interconstruct correlations are more than what you call 0.795. That means that criteria is taken care of. Similarly, you are looking into the AVE for each of the variable and then looking into the interconstruct correlations, whether that is more than that value. Okay, here everything is fine. So that is why that first criteria is taken care of. Now we will look for the other two, HTMT and cross-loading. HTMT ratio, as I said, hetero trait, mono trait ratio. That is, interconstruct correlation need to be less than 0.85. That is what, this is the latest and considered as one of the most important criteria for testing this. We need not look into all these. Any one will be fine for discriminant validity. Only thing, the cross loadings, it is not considered as a very high value thing, but it is the easiest one. So if you look into that is ecotourism, all the values are less than 0.85. You can find all the values. That is, here we will be looking like this, here like this, here like this, here we will be looking this way. So all these interconstruct correlation values are less than 0.85. That is HTMT ratio concept. Then here we have the cross loadings also. Cross loadings, it is considered as a weak still, but it is easy to find. Means if you are considering the blogging should have the maximum values, and all the others should be less than that. That is 0.69, 0.608, 0.8. But considering the other things, all are less than that. Similarly, if your ecotourism should have the maximum with all the other values less than. The cross loadings on other things we are considering, it should be less than that. But this, when the other two criteria are not available or some thing is happening there, then only you look into this. Anyone should fulfill the discriminant validity. With both convergent validity and discriminant quality criteria, if it is filled, that means your fitness of the measurement model has been done with. Testing the arriving at what are the deletions and addition. After all that, you are theoretically proposing a new model for the relationships you are trying to explain. Now coming to the second model, that is testing the structural model or the inner model, wherein you can see the red line. That is, we are considering only the latent variables here. The measurement has already been taken care of. Now we are testing the hypothesis, the assumptions we made between these latent variables. In testing that, you can have the path coefficient values is one thing which you find here, and also the R2 values. The R value is given inside that ecotourism, which is the dependent variable. That means 0.33. That means all these independent variables together have an effect of produce the variance. 33% of the variance in ecotourism has been explained by these four variables. That is what it intends. And if you have made such an assumption, we will accept the hypothesis, or otherwise we will reject it. Okay. So this is about the structural equation modeling. These are the two tests we'll be looking into. I think I have tried to, from the practical point of view, this is what we need to know. If you have any questions, you are welcome. Means either you don't have understood me or I was very convincing. So this, there is no criteria. We will just be telling that all these variables were sufficient to explain this much percentage of variance in our dependent variable. 0.33 is not a very high value. That means 66% need to be explained by incorporating other variables from outside. Because whatever variables we have used were capable to explain only 33%. That means there are variables which we have not considered for the present research, which need to be included. That will be your recommendation from your research. There is no. It is about the concept development. It is about how the concept has been developed. PLS, normally we go for a large sample. This is a large sample thing. Based on this, what I suggest is that we develop a theoretical model for ecotourism based on our measurement model. These are the variables that need to be considered, and there were some variables which we had deleted, which we can suggest that these were included, but they were not finding. That's the theory we are proposing. Along with that, from the hypothesis testing or the structural model testing, what we suggest is that these variables, what we have included, could explain only 33% of the variance of that dependent variable of ecotourism. That means we need, for digital marketing on ecotourism, we need to consider more variables. Okay, that is the inference we try to make. It's mostly a theory building exercise. It's the construct that our theoretical orientation has to be reworked. That is the purpose for this, actually. But normally we don't do that. We end up with a conceptual model. We don't test it. We just accept it, and we don't mention it further in our result or other part. We just have a conceptual model in our literature. There it ends. Here it is a quantitative way of validating our conceptual models. This is an area which is lacking in our extension. That's why these things we assume to be important right now, because theory building, any discipline has to grow based on the theories. Small sample is 30. 30 is the small sample. There are some tools. The AHP, I'll be explained after this, is something where we require a small sample only. But other higher end statistical analysis like SEM, even PCA, the 40 is the minimum variables that is required. We will go for that Kaiser-Meyer test and all, only if it is feasible, KMO test, then only we will go for PCA. That is, even if you have 100 variants, something PCA won't give us good results. There is a calculation for sample size, but that doesn't work. Only if we know the population, exact population estimate, we can work with that. That is why we normally don't go for that. In journals, if you try to publish in agriculture systems, the first thing they will return your paper, your sample size is, we will be reporting some 300, 400 sample size. They will say it's a small sample and your results are not this. So especially among our young faculty members, the tendency is to improve the sample size, but it is burdening the students also. They have the limited time. How many questionnaires can be, how many farmers can be interviewed in a day? Maximum is 2, 3. So having 600, 700 samples means it's a Herculean, but not beyond a particular, that is what that formula states. Beyond, there is one variable in that formula, I don't exactly recollect that formula, but beyond that, it's useless to have a higher end, this thing. Some area students need to equip ourselves. Don't run to the statistician for the analysis part. Even if this table height and my height is correlated, some relation will come. But even sometimes it may show significant things. But that is absurdity. That is where the researcher had to intervene. Actually, we as the researcher should ask them whether this test can be done for our thing. Let them tell if there is any thing that prevents us from using that. For that, we have to read. There are beautiful papers written by our own people. I was looking into that fuzzy logic yesterday. We were from that GB Pant. I was thinking we will be the first to look into that, but people have already published papers. That is about some athletics, some within the campus work they have done and come out with a beautiful paper. People are at it. Anyway, there is nothing to be disappointed with our discipline because people are doing things. Only you people have to be more vigilant because things are very competitive. Earlier, I used to move with our students. Even if you have some data, that is irrigation in pepper, irrigation in vegetable, and irrigation in flowers, that can give you 3 papers. The whole thing can be tabulated in a single table, but the quantity matters that days. But nowadays, they are asking for, earlier it was 5 NAS rating. NAS rating won't work only within the country, the NAS rating can take you. Beyond that, it is the impact factor. So, and also the citations you have. You have to be double vigilant. Recently, it happened to us when we were applying for the NAHAB, I was telling you yesterday, NAHAB international training. One of our faculty, we all were asked to give our biodata for that. He gave something, that citations, something he made some messy remark. They caught it there. Our PI, poor thing, he believed us, and whatever was given was not cross-checked. Everything is in the public domain. If you go to the Google Scholar, how many papers you have, how many of citations you have, what is everything is there. In which year, what was the rise, everything is there, even the views, how many people have viewed you. So there is no privacy element in it. Try to be as transparent as possible, at least your integrity will be at. That has created a bad remark both on the PI and even our Vice Chancellor. He didn't look into all this. Whatever the PI given, sanction was given, they cross-checked it with the paper. The Google Scholar account was taken. Then that came out. The whole thing created a bad picture altogether. So the personal integrity should not be a compromise, should not be a thing that has to be debated upon. Because everything is transparent. You cannot come and boast something and be something else. Yesterday, there is Sanjeev. You were telling me you're using it. So don't go for the whole thing, okay? We'll try to discuss it now. Okay. So, Hannah, you all will be familiar with pad comparison test, is it not? Anybody who have used pad comparison? At least in measurement scaling technique class, you will be knowing pad comparison. What do you do in pad comparison? You have n number of criterion. Each criterion will be compared with each other. That is n into n minus 1 by 2 comparisons you can have. So what is the problem with this pad comparison? When you have some 10 items to be compared, how many comparisons you can make? Normally, experts are used to give the comparisons. After some down the lane, after 5, we won't be remembering what we have given. So that errors are possible in that. Actually, this is an AHP or analytical hierarchy process is an advancement over the pad comparison. It's an advanced tool over the pad comparison test. Okay, this was given by Thomas Satie, and actually it was widely accepted in the 90s only. It is one of the latest things. Even you people are using it. It is nice to know about it. And it is widely accepted as a decision, a multi-criteria analysis approach. That is, this has assumed importance because many of our climate risk studies have come. The risk decisions of the farmers can be analyzed, beautifully analyzed using this technique. And this the importance or the why this has emerged as a very useful tool is that both quantitative and qualitative information can be compared. Earlier, the brand in market research, we try to compare the different brands and all those using pad comparison. But the qualitative analysis, the names are being compared. Even quantitative values can be compared. I'll give you an example. These are the areas wherein we are using the analytical hierarchy process. That is the choice ranking, prioritization. If you have your department has been allotted with some money, you want to prioritize on which faculty we should give how much money. All cannot be given equal money because it will not be spent. So you want to identify, prioritize, and those working in the priority areas. Then for that prioritization purpose, it can be used for resource allocation, benchmarking, quality management, conflict resolution. These are the areas wherein we normally make use of the AHP. And I'll try to explain with respect to, you want to buy a car. We want to decide on 3 criteria. One is style, reliability, fuel economy. This can be the 3 criteria. Which of these criteria should be given priority? That is a personal choice, is it not? So, we have some 4 brands of car. Which car should be chosen based on these 3 criteria? Each of these car brand will have some amount of these criteria. It is my personal choice will decide the brand of the car based on my priority area, is it not? So first here we require to do AHP for 2 criteria. One, the criteria for selecting priority criteria we have to select. Then based on that we have to select the brand of the car. 2 times we have to apply here. So for selecting this, we are using a 9-point scale instead of the normal 1 to 5 scale. This is called the Satie scale. This Satie scale is a 1 to 9 scale where 1 is given equal importance. Two pairs. If 3 criteria as we have seen, that means 3 into there will be 3 pairs we have to consider. Yes, 3 into 3 minus 1, 2 by 2, that means 3 criteria. That is 3 pairs you have to look into. So these are the, each pairs need to be judged on this 9-point scale. If both the criteria are equally rated, you will give 1. Then weak importance of one over the other, 3, 5, 7, 9, and in between values are represented by 2, 4, 6, and 8. Is it okay? This is available in all your internet sources. That SATI scale, if you give, you will get this. Then that is, I said we have three pairs of comparison. That is style and reliability is one. When style and reliability is compared, I gave preference to reliability. That is, I gave two value, two to reliability, and that means style will get 1/2. That is how we will, that pair comparison matrix you will all be knowing, no? So style and fuel efficiency, style is given 3 rating, the other become 1/3. Then reliability and fuel efficiency, reliability is considered better and giving 4, and the fuel efficiency will give 1/4. That is written in a matrix form here. That is style, that is the diagonal will be equivalent, 1. Then row over column, style over reliability. That means 1/2, which we have here, it is 1/2. Style will give 1/2. Then 3, likewise we have made the matrix. That is converted into the real matrix, 1.5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 0.33, 0.25. That is the matrix score here. This is called the priority matrix you have developed. Now let's see how the thing is, this priority matrix has to be ranked, converted into ranks. How to do it? That is, for that, first you have to get the column totals of all this. That is, you are trying to normalize, get a normalized matrix. All the column wise you add it, and each value need divided by the column total. Then you will get the normalized. You have ranked only the priority criteria. Similarly, you need to work for the brands also, taking these criteria back. So we will stop with this. But before going further, we need to check for the accuracy of the decisions. That is the comparisons the experts have given, whether that has followed an assumption. That is, we follow the assumption if A is equal to B is equal to C, then A should be equal to C. That is the basic assumption we follow in paired comparisons. Whether that has been followed by the experts, whether there is some error that has crept into it. Whether if there is error, we need to repeat that. Okay, repeat the, what you call, taking the expert thing once more. So that has to be tested. That is checking the consistency. So for checking the consistency, the criteria used is called the consistency ratio. This is worked out by a formula given by SATI, that is consistency index divided by ratio in random index, that is consistency index divided by random index. Random index is again another table given by SATI, wherein n is the number of criteria. For each number of criteria, he has given a random index value. Here we are having the criteria as, what is the number of criteria we used? 3. For we will be looking the random index under 3. That is, this is also a table value which you get in your internet sources. What is the random index table? Given by SATI, you will get the whole values. I have taken up to 7. That is, the criteria is 3, you get a random index value of 0.52. But CI value has to be calculated. That is the consistency index. That is calculated using a formula called lambda max minus n divided by n minus 1. Let's say AX has to be, AX is equal to lambda max x. That is first we are finding it, that A we have these values, X we have these values, that is the priority vector matrix. So we need, this is matrix multiplication. How do you multiply the matrix? Have to multiply 1 into 0.32 plus 0.5 into 0.32. Each row need to be multiplied vertically. Okay, so you will get the axis AX value here. Once the AX value is got, we are trying to average it. You need to lambda max you are already having. So you will fit in this formula, and finally you arrive at what is known as the consistency ratio, Ci by Ri, and that value should not be greater than zero point 0.1. It should be less than zero point 0.1. If it is greater than zero point 0.1, you have to rework the whole thing. That is the difficulty with this is how it will go. Indicate sufficiency, consistency. Here we got 0.02. That means it is less than 0.1. This indicates sufficient consistency for decision. If these are the steps, how you will work out. First, you will, as I showed, there will be a hierarchy with goals, criteria, and priorities. We will have a hierarchy construction. We will delineate the goal, criteria, sub-criteria, etc. Pairwise comparison, and then you go for weight calculation. Then the consistency check is done. If the value is less than zero point 0.1, you can determine the rank and priority, or else go back and do it again. And this works perfectly well with a small sample. Never try to do it with a large sample. Less than 10, many others have said less than 10 will be maximum, you can go up to 20, not beyond that. This is used only for developing the weights for your index development or for further calculations. You can use it as a weight. So I think a quick look at the SNA is also. Anything more to be added on AHP? In fuzzy analytical process, each value, here we have 1 to 9 scale. Each value will be represented by 3 values. That is a computer algorithm is being followed there. It is for more complicated decisions can be represented using a fuzzy logic. That is the, it's first try to understand it, then we will move on to the fuzzy thing. Fuzzy, each value is represented by 3 values, 3 scales. Each scale point is determined by 3. As I understand it, it suits for your criteria selection, for prioritization, for in developing indexes. Weights can be quantitatively. We normally use eigenvalue of PCA for indexing. This is a better thing. These are the areas where we make use of. Fuzzy can be directly applied, but only thing is, as you said, the climate decisions can be studied using fuzzy. Yes, but the complexities are more. And the fuzziness, that term itself indicate the turbidity in the system. Eigenvalue is a common statistic for many of the things. That is from PCA itself, factor analysis itself, we are having the eigenvalue. It is an element of that correlation between a factor and the factor. They delineate in PCA, the different factors or components come. Between the components, what is the correlation? That is given by eigenvalue. For each type of analysis, the eigenvalue represents different sets of parameters, interrelations between different sets of parameters. Scaling is possible that provides the interval level of measurement. Here we can go beyond that to a ratio level of measurement. That's the basic difference. It starts with the schematic things, then only towards the end, the analytical part, they differ. Whether the level of measurement, the cluster analysis, actually we have borrowed it from genetics. They have used to bifurcate the different traits of the varieties they study. We have borrowed it from that. Dendrogram, they give cluster analysis. I have included this. Actually, we all are familiar with, let's go back to, that is 1946, if I'm right, from where we have borrowed that two-step flow of communication model, that Lesserfield's famous experiment. Can anybody tell me about what the experiment was? In US, they tested some presidential election, how the opinion of the electorate was influenced by the mass media. And in the presidential election, normally they hold some debates. And what actually was inferred from the result was that what was debated was not exactly what the electorate was telling. There was some deviation from what exactly was debated and what the electorate was actually implied from the debate. So they were trying to analyze how this difference has occurred, and finally came out with the trickle down effect and the two-step model, which till then it was the hypodermic needle model. Is it not? I'm not very confident on all those communication things, but still, what I remember, it's like something like that. And from there, we got that sociometric tool, which is scaleogram analysis, and that scaleogram you get from sociometric technique. What is the purpose of using sociometric? Very good. It's to identify that. That is about social relations. We are trying to analyze the social relations, and whoever gets the maximum, who is said has to have the maximum contacts, he is considered as the opinion leader, is it not? It's something that is path that is called the graph theory is the basis for that. The same thing has been here also. We are looking into the social relationships, which are represented as that arrowed points. Directional arrows and non-directional arrows are used to represent the social arrows. And each point, this is a supply chain of coconut in one of our districts. How it works in a study, we could find that a wholesale dealer in the coconut, the centrality, the positioning is important, the node quality is important, how many what you call paths arise from a node is important. How you should see the, actually this was used when social networks, you have to differentiate social network analysis from social networking. We have the social network sites, WhatsApp, Facebook, and all the Google. So many spaces are there. If you, there was one Me Too campaign. Do you remember? My girl students may be remembering about that Me Too campaign. There was a SNA map, visual map, which is developed. You should see the intricacies. It is spread out throughout the world. How it is to make the impact show, to visualize it, to present it in a visual form. These are the interconnectedness. These are the complexities of a system. You can very well use the visual maps that can be developed using SNA. And the whole beauty of this tool is that the software is free. UCNet is the software, UCINET. UCNet is the software we use. Jeffy is also there. They all give good visualization along with matrices. Some of the matrices they make use of, as I have shown here. We can see from this supply chain, it goes beyond our state. From Kozhikode, it is reaching and ending in Pollachi market. One network is going to the Mangalore market. Even though FPCs were studied, FPCs are meant to procure the pharma goods and get markets outside. What these FPCs are doing is, instead of they are getting it from the retailers actually. That is why the wholesaler and the retailers have all appeared in the networks. So such sort of intricacies, which even if you try to narrate it, these are all exploratory studies, and even if you try to narrate it, it will not be as powerful as we visualize and show it in a map. Actually, it was based on the results I'm just showing. It has so many other parts as well. ICI has given us 40 lakhs for exclusively on FPC studies. Now we are taking it up as a network project throughout India. So what they were impressed was that we could quantify it. through these are some of the centrality measures are there: degree centrality, betweenness centrality, closeness centrality. These are the measures you will get, which will be quantitative measures. You can show, just not tell that he is the opinion leader, and we can say that this is the degree, the number of notes coming to it, number of people who is related to it, can be numerically measured and showed. So this can be another tool. Actually, one of my students, he's studying on agriculture innovation systems in rice. So we have, it's a SNA analysis to just see how the diffusion of innovation happens within the system, which is the starting point, how it is passing through the system. So actually, we can, from this study, we can also make policy recommendation that who should be the crucial links that has to be targeted when we are introducing some new intervention in it. This is how we can make our discipline a powerful policy recommendation tool. By saying these are this, we are quantitatively measuring, showing, and this is the visual map. Here it starts. And because he has to be targeted because he is having so much interconnections, and his interconnections run across the system and also beyond the system. That is how we can visually map it. That is the beauty of this tool. And actually it also relies on something known as the Jeffy, the graph theory is the basis for this, and it is an advancement over our Moreno's sociometry tool. Okay. Networks and the graph theory, Usenet and Jeffy. So these are some of the identification of subgroups. Many of time we will be concentrating only on the major groups. Even we can go beyond that to the subgroups which are working. Climate resilience study, community resilience is another, he's an Andhra student. So we are comparing the community resilience of rice farmers in Kerala and Andhra Pradesh. So here also we are using the same tool to bring out how in a natural hazard situation, how the social networks work, and which should be the first point to be taken into account when we are introducing some disaster awareness thing. Likewise also it can. So that's all from my side. So anything based on our discussions, you're welcome.
Okay, considering the time limitation, she has to leave by 12:15 train. So if you still have queries, she is ready to answer by email or phone call also. I think, madam. Yeah. So, madam, you have all immersed all of us, faculty, both the faculty and students, in the subject of this SEM, AHP, and SNA. Really a wonderful session, madam, you have given to all of us. So, on behalf of the department, of Agricultural Extension, I sincerely and wholeheartedly thank you very much for this wonderful session. Before going for the formal vote of thanks by Ms. Vejimulu, I request one more VIP, Dr. Vijay Raghavan, who is Director of Public Image in Coimbatore District, and Rotary Club. I request him to offer some remarks.
Nothing to share except my happiness over it. First, I congratulate students for their excellent interaction, which of late I'm seeing it from our department more and more. Madam, you don't seem to be the head of the department. You seem to be a friendly PhD scholar, so friendly talking to our own students. And it's a good sign that it gives me a lot of work. New car. My daughter is purchasing a new car. My son-in-law is purchasing a new car and they throw their old cars to me. And my granddaughter says that that's a new car to grandfather. I don't know under what criteria I can these things. I never had a choice of doing things. Under compulsion, this entire methodology I went through about 4 or 5 years back before Corona, when I was asked to come to IRI for revision and all. And a couple of months I sat and read all those things. That is why I'm repressed those things. Thank you very much. I'm happy to see the department is growing. And I wish and request the head of the department to invite Madam as often as possible so that we can have more and more of interaction, all those things. And I don't think we can trust everything to the students because of the limited time and all. For young faculty, all these tools will be very useful. And then slowly we were discussing about some of the areas that we can take up in the days to come and all those things. But some of these tools we can use in the off form activities when you're going to a school to identify the factors affecting the school success or and all. The paired comparison, I used it in a year back, one of the convent when I associate. It gives a very a calculative success criteria to the administration also. So that when you are going to even off form or off extension activities, which Professor Y.V. Singh taught me when I was in IRA, those things you can use it with all those things. I studied, I think the one book where I studied the maximum number of time is Kellinger's, me and the late Dr. Ponuswamy. We used to study and enjoy. Thank you very much and thanks for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Although it's a word of thanks, but I would like to start it by apologizing to our HOD sir. He has organized so many times the same practice for our practicing. No, he have organized so many lectures and even video conferencing was done. But I'm really sorry that I didn't attend, honestly. But then I'm today really glad that ma'am came and then gave the basic about it. It's very thorough and very clear. I will definitely work on the practical usage of it. No, thank you so much, ma'am. And then today I would also like to say, as sir said, like when we go for choosing a car, we didn't know that there is a criteria or tool can be used. As a girl, we would. No, in my mind, I was like, as a girl, I would definitely go for the colors. There is no other criteria. Favorite colors, girls pick up the this one. Okay, and then I would also, so jokes apart, I would like to really be thankful from on behalf of our extension family to our ma'am to consider her graceful appearance to be present here and then let us know our strength in extension line, especially the second year PhD student, my friends. We were discussing yesterday that now we know our strength and we know our weakness, where we need to work. No, so it gave us a thought that like in future, what extension agents can be professionalized in, and then how it can be given to the what we call that contribution to the development of agriculture sector. So thank you so much, ma'am. And also I would like to thank our HOD sir and our staff members to be very thoughtful in selecting ma'am to her excellency to bring her here and then let us be give some learnings. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Now I request Madam to offer her.
So, respected dignitaries and my dear friends, it was I should say I was actually what Sir has rightly said. I was not here as a teacher. I was just interacting with my fellow extension people with what I know. So that's why it came out naturally. I didn't have to exert much over that. So I'm very thankful for all the hospitality and right from the railway station. I don't know when somebody comes over our place, you are excellent in all those things. We don't have anything to complain about. Everything is taken care of before we think everything is in place. So I'm very happy to see that our profession extension is growing from strength to strength. That is the beauty of it. Whatever said and done, ultimately it is the farmer who counts. And we have to be proud that we are the ones working with them and for them. So if we can, we are doing many things, but the thing is, many times we fail to quantify it. When we, there is a lot of difference between telling in words and showing in figures. That is where the economics people have survived all this. We have to take some lessons from them and also try to match with them. So thank you all, and it was a great honor for me to get an opportunity to speak before persons like Professor Vijayaraghavan sir. Actually, I have seen him interacting in many of the groups. I know I am a silent member though. I never interacted. I think the last time I interacted was when Pamela ma'am retired. After that, I have not interacted in that group, but I was a very regular reader of whatever happens in the group, and sir is one of the person who keep that group alive with his thought-provoking things. Keep the spirits. You are a real role model for us. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor and Head, for all these things. Thank you, Nirmala ma'am, for thank you all. Thank you all, my students.
I request all the staff and students to come and join for a group photo.